Welcome to Proofless, the true crime podcast that explores the depths of America's most confounding unsolved mysteries, cases where the evidence is incomplete, the leads are elusive, and the full truth remains just beyond our grasp. I'm your host, Anna Berger, and this is the 8th episode of Proofless, where we dive into stories that grip the heart, challenge the mind, and leave us searching for answers. Today, we're delving into one of the most high-profile and heartbreaking cases of the early 2000s, the murder of Laci Peterson, a 27-year-old pregnant woman who vanished from her Modesto, California, home on Christmas Eve 2002. Her disappearance sparked a media frenzy, a sensational trial, and a conviction that many believe closed the case, but lingering questions about motive, evidence, and alternative theories keep it in the realm of the partially unsolved. This is a story of a vibrant young woman, a seemingly perfect marriage, and a tragedy that shattered a community. So, settle in for a deep dive into a case that continues to provoke debate and demand answers. Let's set the scene. It's December 2002 in Modesto, California, a quiet agricultural city in the Central Valley, about 90 miles east of San Francisco. Modesto is a place of sprawling suburbs, almond orchards, and a close-knit community where families celebrate the holidays with traditions and togetherness. Laci Peterson, née Rocha, is a 27-year-old expectant mother, 8 months pregnant with her first child, a boy she and her husband, Scott Peterson, have named Connor. Laci is the epitome of warmth and charm, with dark hair, a radiant smile, and a personality that draws people in. Born and raised in Modesto, she's the daughter of Sharon and Dennis Rocha, with a brother, Brent, and a stepfather, Ron Gransky. A graduate of California Polytechnic State University, where she studied ornamental horticulture, Laci is known for her love of gardening, cooking, and hosting friends. She's a former cheerleader, a devoted sister, and a woman excited to become a mother. Her pregnancy has been a joy, and she's eagerly preparing for Connor's arrival, decorating a nursery and planning baby showers. Laci's husband, Scott Peterson, is a 30-year-old fertilizer salesman, also a Cal Poly graduate, where he met Laci in 1994. To outsiders, Scott is handsome, charming, and devoted, a doting husband who supports Laci's dreams and shares her vision of a family. The couple married in 1997 and settled in Modesto, buying a modest 3-bedroom home at 523 Covenant Avenue in a middle-class neighborhood. Their life seems idyllic. They host barbecues, take weekend trips, and are active in their community. Scott works for Trade Corp, a fertilizer company, traveling frequently but earning a steady income. Friends describe the Petersons as a perfect couple, though some note Scott's reserved nature, a contrast to Laci's outgoing warmth. As Christmas 2002 approaches, Laci is busy preparing for the holidays, wrapping gifts, and planning a family dinner. Scott, meanwhile, is wrapping up work for the year, with plans to spend Christmas Eve with Laci's family. On the morning of December 24th, 2002, Laci's routine seems ordinary. She wakes early, as she often does, to walk their golden retriever, Mackenzie, in nearby La Loma Park. Scott tells police he saw Laci around 9:30 a.m., wearing black leggings and a white shirt, planning to run errands after her walk. He says he left around 10 a.m. to go fishing at Berkeley Marina, about 90 miles away, in his new 14-foot aluminum boat. Laci, 8 months pregnant and cautious, stays home to prepare a holiday breakfast and clean the house. When Scott returns around 4 p.m., he says he finds the house empty, with Mackenzie in the backyard, his leash still on, and Laci's car, a green Land Rover, in the driveway. Her purse, keys, and phone are inside, but she's gone. Scott claims he showered, ate some leftover pizza, and called Laci's mother, Sharon, around 5:15 p.m. to ask if Laci was with her. Sharon, alarmed, says no and urges Scott to call friends and check hospitals. By 6 p.m., Sharon reports Laci missing to the Modesto Police Department, and a search begins. The police, led by Detective Alberchini, treat Laci's disappearance as a missing persons case, given her pregnancy and the holiday timing. Volunteers, including Laci's family and friends, flood the streets, distributing flyers with her picture, a smiling, pregnant Laci in a red dress. The community rallies, searching parks, canals, and neighborhoods. Mackenzie's leash raises questions. A neighbor, Karen Servus, finds the dog wandering around 10:18 a.m., leash attached, and returns him to the Petersons' backyard. This suggests Laci may have been taken during or after her walk, as she wouldn't leave Mackenzie unattended. The police search the Peterson home, finding it tidy except for a rug rolled up in the living room, which Scott says he moved to clean. No signs of a struggle are evident, and Laci's purse contains her wallet, an ID, and credit cards, ruling out a planned departure. The case explodes into a national story, with Laci's face on every news channel, CNN, Fox News, NBC, and the public captivated by the image of a pregnant woman vanishing on Christmas Eve. The Modesto police, under pressure, expand the search, using dogs, divers, and helicopters to scour the San Joaquin River and nearby Dry Creek. Tips pour in. Sightings of Laci in local stores, a report of a pregnant woman in a van, even claims she was seen in Oregon. None pan out. The police interview Scott, who's cooperative but oddly detached, offering vague answers about his fishing trip. His story raises red flags. He claims he fished for sturgeon in San Francisco Bay, but the marina receipt shows he launched his boat at 12:54 p.m., a 3-hour drive from Modesto, leaving a tight window for fishing. His boat, stored in a warehouse, contains no fish, just a fishing rod and tackle. On December 30th, a bombshell emerges. Scott's mistress, Amber Frey, a 27-year-old massage therapist from Fresno, contacts police. Amber, a single mother, met Scott in November 2002 through a friend. Scott told her he was single, a widower who'd lost his wife, and they began a romantic relationship, meeting several times in December. On December 9th, Scott told Amber he'd be traveling to Paris for the holidays, but after seeing Laci's disappearance on TV, Amber grew suspicious and called a tip line. She agrees to cooperate, taping her calls with Scott. In recordings played later, Scott lies about his whereabouts, claiming to be in Europe while calling from Modesto. Amber's revelation shifts the investigation. Scott becomes the prime suspect, and the media paints him as a cheating husband with a motive to kill. The Modesto police and FBI intensify their focus on Scott. They search the Peterson home again, finding traces of Laci's hair in Scott's boat, though this could be from household contact. A neighbor reports seeing Scott load a large object, possibly a tarp, into his truck on December 24th, but the tip is inconclusive. Wiretaps capture Scott's calls with Amber, where he avoids discussing Laci's disappearance and seems unemotional. On April 13, 2003, a tragic discovery changes the case. Laci's body, along with Connor's, washes ashore in San Francisco Bay near Richmond, about a mile from where Scott fished. The remains are badly decomposed, but autopsies confirm Laci was strangled or smothered, with no clear cause of death for Connor, who was likely stillborn. The location, near Scott's fishing spot, seals his fate in the public's eyes. Scott is arrested on April 18th, 2003 in San Diego, where he's been staying with family. His appearance is startling. He's dyed his hair blonde, carries $15,000 in cash, 4 cell phones, and his brother's ID, suggesting he was preparing to flee. Charged with 2 counts of murder for Laci and Connor, he's held without bail. The trial, moved to Redwood City due to media saturation in Modesto, begins in June 2004 and becomes a circus. Prosecutors, led by Rick DiStasso, argue Scott killed Laci to escape marriage and fatherhood, citing his affair with Amber, his financial struggles — the couple had $23,000 in debt — and his detached behavior. Evidence includes the boat hair, the bay location, and Scott's lies to Amber. The defense, led by Mark Garagos, argues there's no direct evidence. No blood, no weapon, no witnesses. They suggest Laci was abducted during her walk, possibly by a cult or a transient, and point to a reported burglary across the street on December 24th as a lead. The jury, after a 6-month trial, convicts Scott of first-degree murder for Laci and second-degree for Connor on November 12, 2004. He's sentenced to death in March 2005, later commuted to life without parole in 2021 after California's moratorium on executions. The conviction brings closure for some, but the case remains in the proofless realm due to unanswered questions. No physical evidence directly ties Scott to the murder. No blood in the house, no murder weapon, no witnesses to the crime. The motive, escape from family life, is compelling but circumstantial, based on Amber's testimony and Scott's behavior. Alternative theories persist. A satanic cult linked to a van seen near the Peterson home, or the burglary across the street, which police dismissed, but later found involved stolen items. Some speculate a transient or serial killer, noting other missing women in the Bay Area at the time, though no connections are proven. The condition of Laci's body, missing her head and limbs, raises questions about whether the Bay's currents or a deliberate act obscured evidence. Online, Reddit's RAR, Laci, Peterson, and web sleuths debate Scott's guilt, with some arguing he was wrongly convicted due to media bias and weak evidence. Laci's family, led by Sharon Rocha, fights for justice. Sharon writes a book for Laci in 2006, detailing her grief and the trial. The Rochas established Laci's STEP, a nonprofit for missing persons, offering a $25,000 reward for new leads, still active as of July 2025, per a Modesto Bee report. The case reshapes Modesto, where residents become warier, and it inspires Laci's Law, a 2005 California bill enhancing penalties for crimes against pregnant women. The 2017 A&E docuseries, The Murder of Laci Peterson, and the 2024 Netflix series, American Nightmare, revisit the case, fueling debate about Scott's guilt. Advances in DNA testing offer hope, with the Innocence Project taking Scott's case in 2023 to test items from the boat, but results are pending. The emotional toll on the Rochas is profound. Sharon, now in her 70s, speaks at vigils honoring Laci and Connor. Brent and Ron grapple with anger towards Scott, who maintains his innocence from San Quentin. The case remains proofless due to its reliance on circumstantial evidence and unanswered questions about the true sequence of events. Was Scott the sole perpetrator, or does the truth lie elsewhere? That's all for the 8th episode of Proofless. Laci Peterson's murder is a tragedy that tore apart a family and captivated a nation, leaving shadows of doubt. If you have information, contact the Modesto Police or visit lasistep.org. Share your thoughts on our website or social media, and join us next time for another journey into the unknown. Until then, keep searching for answers.